Whoa! Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing the all-new BMW M4 Competition. Now this one actually has xDrive. The first one that I drove did not have xDrive, so I'm interested to see what the difference is. But anyways, before we get in this video, a huge shout out and thank you to the Pleasant Grove BMW here in Utah for giving me some time with this M4. I'm going to include a link to their inventory in the description down below so you can see what they have currently. If you have any questions or need any help, just ask for Brendan. And if you don't already know, the BMW of Pleasant Grove does not charge any sort of markups over MSRP whatsoever. So if you want a great deal on a new BMW, reach out to Brendan. And then on a side note, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. Under the hood, we have a turbocharged 3-liter inline-6 that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. With the Competition, you get 503 horsepower and then 479 pound-feet of torque. And to compare that to the standard M4, the standard M4 only has 473 horsepower and then 406 pound-feet of torque. So the Competition bumps things up quite a bit. Before I go to the front end, I do want to mention, if you see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. So starting with the hood here, you guys can see we have the signature like muscular design here with the M4. Now this is finished in Sao Paulo yellow. However, in person, at least to me, it looks like a yellowish green rather than a greenish yellow, if that makes sense. Let me know in the comment section below if this looks more yellow to you or green. And then coming down below, you guys can see the BMW anniversary logo there. We've got the LED daytime running lights with the M4 Competition badge kind of like tucked there into the grille. And then yes, this does have the larger kidney front grille. And when you put everything together, this car looks so aggressive. And I think that you gotta get the Competition models in a bright color like this. Coming around the side here, tire and wheel setup is 275, 35, 19 in the front, and then 285, 30, 20 in the rear, so fully staggered setup. And let me get close to the wheel. So the lighting today sucks, but you guys can now see the wheel design. It's pretty crazy looking. Again, you've got the anniversary logo there in the center, and then you've got the blue brake caliper, which is pretty interesting with this bright, I'm gonna call it green, because it looks green to me. We got the M4 Competition badge, we have the aero mirrors here, and then you guys can see like the ground effects, pretty cool looking. And then when you look at the full side profile here of the M4, it's a cool looking car. And then here is the key fob. You guys can see M colors there on the side. We've got our unlock function or lock function in the opening for the trunk. Now that we're inside, you guys can see storage space here with the M4 is actually pretty solid, so it's still a really practical car, and gotta love the floor mats in the trunk. That's a nice luxury touch, so press that and that'll lower it right down. So we have the cool 4 Series style of taillights, which I'm actually a pretty big fan of, and look how that illuminates. And then of course M4 Competition badge, got the heritage logo, or rather the anniversary logo, I mean. And you can see xDrive there. And then look at these exhaust tips here at the bottom with the diffuser. It's so aggressive. And putting it all together in a bright color with the black accenting, this is a really cool car. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention, we have a carbon fiber roof. Look at that. Now with the front door panel, really nice leather trim, so you guys can see like the stitching here at the top, and then if I pop down below, like really cool design actually. We've got our window controls here, memory seat functionality, and then you guys saw the aero mirrors earlier, but they do have blind spot monitoring. Now when it comes to the back seats here in the M4 Competition, first off, really nice material use with all of the leather here in the back. Legroom's actually pretty solid with the seat back. Headroom is still actually pretty good as well. It's just getting in and out that's a little bit more difficult because it's a 2-door. Look at that, I got the M colors on the seat belt, but what's really cool is when I put the seat back, it'll automatically go back into place. And speaking of the seat, look at this front seat, got M4 there, and really cool like design on the seat with all the bolstering and everything and the material use, because like you've got like the suede insert right there. And then notice we got our power adjustments on the side, and you can even adjust the bolsters, which is cool. And then M4. And then here is the pedal layout. You guys can see pretty cool looking there. And then we've got all of our light controls right there. So here is the steering wheel, really nice leather trim all around, and then you got the M colors as the stitching, which is a pretty cool feature. Paddle shifters here on the back for the 8-speed automatic. Then notice you have your M1 and M2 modes here on the steering wheel, and then some controls for like the voice command, phone controls, heated steering wheel button on the steering wheel itself, and then cruise control as well. Turn signal stock, windshield wiper stock. And then here's the center gauge cluster, full digital gauge cluster. Notice like if I press the M1 button, you got that, and then I can press the M2 button. And the M2 is definitely set to be quite a bit more aggressive. You guys can probably hear the valves open. But that's kind of like just a cool party trick with this overall is like, notice I can actually change how the gauge cluster looks too. Now in reverse, we got this nice backup camera with trajectory lines that turn with the steering wheel. You got that bird's eye view as well, and overall resolution solid. Now as for the infotainment screen, this is obviously not BMW's newest unit because the newest unit is that whole hyperscreen situation, but this is still a really good infotainment system. Responds well, like as you can see, pressing the different functions, it's really quick to respond. Overall easy to use. I like it has a shortcut bar, and that's all. More really nice leather trim here on the dash, and then you guys can see I like that trim piece right there too. And looks like we got a little bit of ambient light action, perhaps. Now down below, that's just for like the safety tech. We've got our controls here for the dual zone climate system. Now this car's pretty loaded up. It has heated and cooled seats too. And then you guys can see like the radio presets here. You can hover your finger over and it'll pop up in the infotainment screen, and like your analog volume control as well. Now this little trim piece here covers stuff like the wireless phone charging pad, couple of cup holders on top of that. Now this is our analog control for the infotainment system if you don't want to use the touchscreen for some reason. And then you've got your stability control button there at the top. That's for the camera system, parking sensors, auto stop start. And you have your My Mode set up, and then you have your overall setup here. So you can actually change everything there in the center. And then this is just for the exhaust. And then you have your shifter that's in the M cars, which is very unique in terms of like how it functions. This little button right here on the shifter, that is to make the transmission response more or less aggressive. And I do like the M stitching on it. Really cool center console here with decent storage. Got another USB there and got nice leather trim. This interior is way more luxurious than what you usually see in an M car, I feel like, because they usually strip them down somewhat. But anyways, nice glove box. You guys can see lined with felt. And then up top, you guys can see darker colored headliner here. No sunroof because carbon fiber roof. Now the last thing that I want to show before we take this out, you guys can see the DSC off four-wheel drive, and notice the stability control button right there. Now this is actually how you access the two-wheel drive. So if you just have the regular traction control off, you can go into the four-wheel drive sport, but if you want two-wheel drive, you have to have everything turned off, and then that will allow you to put it in two-wheel drive where you can do those smoky burnouts and drifts and whatever you want to do in your BMW. Now before we set off, let's talk about visibility. You guys can see visibility over the hood. Both the mirrors do a blind spot monitoring, and then throughout the rest of the rear. And something I do want to mention is you guys saw the tires this has. It's like 37 degrees outside, so we're definitely gonna have to kind of pull back a little bit in this video. We want to make sure that we return this beautiful M4 to the BMW Pleasant Grove in one piece. So yeah, let's head out. So disclaimers aside, let's actually talk about the BMW M4, because this is the closest I think I'll be able to get in a long time to basically being able to drive a BMW M3, because they're basically the same car. However, they do have that orange M3. Look at that thing. That is such a cool car. I guess I'll have to ask Brendan if it's sold. I'm sure it is. But anyways, I love how this car drives. Now, it is definitely, I mean, we're in the comfort setting with everything, and it's still like, this is a hardcore sports car. Like, the suspension's pretty stiff. I just drove a 7 Series before this, which I feel like is not fair because that's BMW's, you know, flagship luxury car. But yeah, this, I mean, compared to the 7 Series is like full-on race car, basically. Yeah, tons of torque though. But yeah, that's the one thing is like, and you know, part of it is these tires, right? They're going to be like hard as a rock because of the cold. So they're not going to help out with the ride quality, and I can feel that. The suspension is actually relatively compliant, but I can tell it's definitely more tuned towards the sporty driving side of things. Quite a bit of like, okay, I feel like this is not fair. I should have probably driven this before I drove the 7 Series, because now like this feels so, I mean, the seats, like the seat comfort, for example, these seats are really comfortable, but compared to the 7 Series, nah, not really. And then like ride quality on this is actually pretty good, but then compared to the 7 Series, no, not really. And then like road noise is pretty decent, but then compared to the 7 Series, it's just kind of a funny situation. I should have reviewed them in reverse order. That's my bad. But what I will say is you could definitely, you know, very easily daily drive this again with the xDrive, and you know, in the wintertime, obviously, you know, put winter tires on it, and that will lead to better ride quality and just a better experience overall. So now I'm going to turn everything off Okay, there we go, DSC off. We're not gonna be doing the drift analyzer today, sadly, but we can go to the setup here. So I wanna see, since we're gonna be going downhill here, I wanna see how this feels in the two-wheel drive. Woo! A little bit of a kick there on the two-wheel drive, but pop into the four-wheel drive Sport. So I'm in the M2 setting with the transmission in the most aggressive response setting here. We're gonna go over this little bump and down the next one, and then I'll give you guys an acceleration here with the M4. And I feel like this is gonna be pretty dang fast. Whoa! Yeah, this thing is, wow. This thing is crazy quick. Wow. What I will say is I recommend, just put this, if you want to have fun in the winter, just the M2 setting. It does make everything pretty stiff overall, but what I will say is the four-wheel drive in the winter, definitely the route that you want to go with this car. That is for sure. So summing things up here with the M4 Competition, again, I've driven the two-wheel drive version, I've driven this, you know, xDrive version. I prefer the xDrive, honestly. I just like the daily drivability. Now, I understand that the two-wheel drive version is going to be a little bit lighter weight, so it's going to, you know, handle technically better, but like, I can tell you, having driven both of them, it's like, unless you're probably taking on a racetrack or if you're like really in tune with the car, you're really not going to notice the weight difference. Man, the transmission's so responsive in this. I have it in the most aggressive setting. This car is so fun. It sounds so good. But yeah, you're not really going to notice the difference. But with the xDrive, you'll notice the fact that you won't get stuck on the side of the road in the winter time. This is such a cool car. Oh, man, I love this thing. Yeah, I really don't have anything bad to say about the M4. I think it's a great car. I think really the only reason why this isn't as popular as the M3, it's just frankly like slight style cues. I think people like the M3 styling a little bit more, and then the fact that this is a two-door and the M3 is a four-door. I think if they did an M4 Grand Coupe, which probably a lot of people would like lose their absolute minds over if they did that, like they'd probably like crucify BMW for it. But if they did that, I think it would actually end up making the M4 slightly more popular because it would have more practicality, and that Grand Coupe design is actually pretty cool. Let me know what you guys think about the M4, and let me know if you would rather go xDrive like this, or if you'd go two-wheel drive. For me, xDrive. That's gonna sum things up with our video on this M4 Competition. Again, a huge shout out and thank you to the BMW Pleasant Grove, Utah for giving me some time with this M4. Check out the M2 in the description down below. Ask for Brendan. I'll see ya.